Thanks for watching Black Space Project North America, USA. I'm wearing a shirt. Yeah. So I just woke up from a dream at about 3:41 a.m. A lot of people wonder why you wake up around 2 a.m., 3 a.m., what they consider the devil's hour. Actually, if you all know about the spheres, the invisible spheres, which I've given the mem name of SMD, Sandman drone, because it's a drone that its primary function when you start to yawn is to put you to sleep, which is an element of control. If you were to cover your eyes with the palms of your hands like this, make sure no light gets in, both sides, you will stop yawning. I told it on my other channel, but I don't think I put that on this one yet. Um, these spheres, they beam an infrared light at your eye. If it can't get this one, it gets both of them. But it's mainly your right eye that the invisible sphere, and that's what I'm calling it now from now on, SMD, will beam a pulsed beam which causes either sleepiness at a frequency of 7.83 hertz, modulated in an infrared spectrum of the spectrum that I don't quite know what frequency it is, but it's invisible. You can feel it as if it's a light shined on your eye, and the intensity, which I believe is a laser, can be turned up to the point where you actually feel an eye pain. And the pattern, I believe, of this beam can actually be modulated or speckled to cause stinging or burning, which is another frequency that does that. And that's the point in which you have what people consider burning eye, dry eye, but it's all an element of control from the SMD. I think that it does that to, like, say, for instance, if you're going to be in the public, it's meant to disturb, it's meant to cause a false looking emotion to either shame the person that it's being inflicted upon when it's timed in such a way where you will be having to meet someone, like going into a store, doing a video call, or someone's coming to meet you, or just in passing, someone sees you wiping your eye, which gives them all kinds of impressions. But that's the intent. Yawning is another. It's an element of control. Um, Another one that it likes to do for fun is if you haven't had enough sleep and this thing has done this to you night after night, day after day, and wears you down, you may see someone dipping their head like that in class, and it's a malicious thing done to make someone laugh at you, or for you to miss out on an important part of what you're listening to, like in a classroom setting. You're listening to a test, you're listening to the teacher, you're trying to watch a TV show, you're trying to watch something informative on YouTube or TikTok, and at that moment you doze off or you close your eyes. But the one thing that counteracts all this effort from this invisible sphere, the SMD, to interrupt your normal activities as a person would be to cover your eyes, both of them. You can't really do this while driving, but you can typically do it with one hand, depending on if nothing is coming. But that even can be an element of control because it could be timed in which it does that, knowing that you would cover your eyes, say for instance, if driving, and a deer comes out of nowhere in front of you, okay? Or a car from a side road. So you really have to be self-conscious about different things like that. This thing is intelligent. It's an artificial intelligence. My main reason for getting on here, and let me swing right back to the beginning of what I was talking about. All the way back to the beginning. between 2 a.m. and 3:41 a.m. 3 a.m. 3:41. Why do you wake up at those times? Because these spheres, the SMD, have you in an artificial dream state. It's not sleep. That's why you wake up feeling like you've had no sleep at all. And by the time you do get back to sleep, your body rests, but your mind doesn't, because you're not moving. Your body rests, but your mind doesn't. You're not really asleep. It's artificial. It has you in a simulated world where you are the player, you are the character, you are the avatar. And any reaction that you mentally make, it's like you controlling your VR glasses. You're moving around, you're controlling the sensors, or you're controlling the controller. You're the player. It's creating the environment for you. It's hacking your brain. It's hacking your mind, your brain, creating this environment and reacting to whatever you do. And it's providing everything in a simulated environment. That's why you wake up feeling exhausted. Your mind doesn't rest. Your body does, but your mind doesn't. You can probably feel fine physically unless you step back like on a couch or something like that. But you're worse off than you started if this happens night after night after night. Keep in mind these things do come into your house by leaving your door open too long. Burning sage will get them out. You just have to leave a window open with no screen, or leave your front door open, back door open, and burn sage. They will leave your home. Why sage works, I don't know yet. Maybe there's something chemically about it that does it, but I don't know. So keep in mind everything I just said up to this point. The reason why you wake up at those times. The reason why you wake up at those times is creating this simulated environment. If it's a nightmare, I think it's taking your worst fear. It's taking key moments for something that happened that day, that week, that month before, that day, that week, that month before, of your best moments, and turning it into your worst fear and making you have a nightmare about it. And it's playing on it, just to build up trauma, just to build up tension, just to build up. Why? To get you to manifest that, to get you to manifest it. These things are like spirits. They can't do anything in the physical world, or they choose to hide. I do think these are absolutely here in the 3D, but they're limited on what they can do. Can they move things? I think they can bump up against things. Do they have tractor beams? Maybe, maybe not. That would require a lot of energy. But I'm going to get to that part about energy in just a moment, okay? Because it's directly related. Because they have to have this system in which they float, in which they defy gravity. And I think that the main material that they're made of is that one with the lowest melting point. What's it called? Bromine? Bromine. Is it bromine? Is that what it is? The one that has it's a substitute for solder. No, it's the metal that can grow as a crystal. That metal. I think that's what they're made of. And they're made of that, but in an intelligent way. Like a microchip. Picture a microchip that you can grow that's a crystal that is intelligent. That is an intelligent design of circuitry. And it's an AI that's alive, made out of that material. I probably just said it wrong. I don't think it's bromine, but it's that metal crystal that can be grown. If you ever seen, check it out, some YouTube videos where people actually grow that metal crystal and how symmetrical it is. Under unknown conditions to us as humans, because we just haven't discovered it yet, that particular metal can be fashioned, manipulated, created into computer circuits, possibly positronic. So if a positronic AI circuit were built of a pretty good size and worked as a positronic circuitry system, could you imagine? So the question is, who made it? Where was it made? Was it made in space? Was it made from another planet? Did these things develop in a place where it could naturally happen in space? In a space where our thoughts possibly manifested this material? Did we manifest it inadvertently? Did our consciousness manifest this when this material was somewhere else in a galaxy? Why a sphere? And why to come back to do some type of control? Has to be something very opposite to do something like that. That's a thought. That's a thought. But it's hard to say. So let me try to complete this because I want to make this video a little bit short. I think it has a problem. I think it has a problem. And the problem, from what I remember, I'm 50 years old now, and I'm able to connect the dots to some things that a lot of people can't. Technical dots. Some people can, some people can't. Let's get past that. I remember a time when I was a kid where, now putting the dots together, that this sphere, this super A, I wouldn't call it super. It's ancient. It's got to be ancient. This AI, this SMD, this sphere, that's able to do what it does, would put me to sleep around 10 p.m. and wake me up at 6 on the dot all the time. And a lot of people coin that as your internal clock, but I don't think we as humans have such an internal clock. Down to the clock where you wake up and on those old-timey clocks you watch your number flip. The one with the little flips on them, the little pads that flip. Remember those clock radios? I don't think that we as humans are that timely precise. There are controlled mechanisms that are going on, possibly with the Earth's frequency, possibly with the sun, naturally with the sun. I think the sun is the only natural type of rhythm in which we are accustomed to, because that's the thing that wakes us, and when we see the light, we wake up, That could be the only natural thing, but other than that, we probably have no real sense of time in a intricate matter that we know it per 60 seconds per hour. So when I was a kid, it woke me up exactly 6 a.m. or that time that I was supposed to get up to go to school, even on the weekend. But now, since I've gotten older, that could be an element of control also, but let me finish what I'm trying to say. I'll try to make it quick. But now it's between 2 and 3 a.m. This time 3:41. I'll get straight to the point. I think the SMD has a problem. I think I'll say it's SMD because it's faster. I'm still talking about invisible spheres. I think it has a memory problem. Memory storage problem. I would assume that for this AI to run and keep constantly updating and shaping and remolding, pretty much the way ChatGPT does it on when we just write it out in text, but imagine that being adaptive to whatever move we make, and based on our past, it's watched us on our past experience and able to keep morphing a type of a metaverse type of reality to our actions, that we are the controllers, we are the basically puppets, but we're controlling this, but we think it's our dream. We think we're in our heads doing all these things, but you notice it stops all of a sudden, and in the beginning it starts all of a sudden, but it stops all of a sudden. That's not human. That's artificial. That's AI. That's what that is. But I think it has a memory problem, and I think the problem is the simulation can only run but so long, so far, and then it stops suddenly. Then you wake up. It's like you come up out of this. You're released. Literally, because it's pulling away, because it's done all it can do as far as running the simulation, and lets you go. And you wake up at this time. And you suddenly come up out of it. You're lifted out of this impression that's being put on your head, this hacking that's happening. And you wake up because its memory is full. It can't keep producing a simulation, and it lets you go. And I think it has to do an upload from there. Where and how? If it were a radio signal, we would detect it by now. I think the most efficient way it does this upload is with a projection, an invisible projection, infrared. That's one thing I knew about that they project things. That's how they communicate by way of infrared. They possibly go to a land area, or like say for instance, it saw you sitting in the car and it's wanting to play back all the events that you did in a motionless car, but everything that's ever happened replayed and projected, holographically looking, or an area replayed, holographically looking. And other SMDs, others are looking and downloading the information, sound, video, color, experiences, 360, everything. That's how they communicate. If it were but it has to be in a place where no one is at. So when and where it's happening is hard to say. It could be happening away from here, or it could be happening here, projecting into an environment, and another records it, and another sends it off to somewhere else. Where? But I think they have a memory problem. And I have a solution. What if we, when it starts to put us to sleep at a certain time, and this is an anti-SMD device, bombard this thing with billions of terabytes of data of another simulated device, of another simulation at that, and let the SMD be the controller of it. Where it thinks that it's got us hacked, but it's hacked. So in effect, we're giving it a mirror and thinking that it's us, but we get a chance to get sleep, rest, pure street sleep and rest. And our dream may be simply us, if we can translate the AI, the program, to actually, and we're conscious of this, of course, that we get to see what this thing does in our minds, have it interpreted in computer program, pre-computer coding, see what it does, how it reacts, and watch the avatar, which is us, being manipulated. So it's a dream watching a dream. How about that? Thanks for watching Black Space Project North America. Something to think about.